Hello and welcome to the 13th episode of Juggle Jabber. I'm in London at the National Centre for Circus Arts and I'm about to meet with Sakari Männistö.
Juggle Jabber.
Sakari is a professional juggler and director from Finland. He has been juggling for a long time and already brought out his own club juggling movie called Juggle in 2006. This is a little clip from it. Nowadays he works with his own company and with the Gandinis and he teaches some juggling classes. One of the Gandinis once recommended me to study Sakari's 3-club cascade because his is the most beautiful in all of the world. Cheers. Thanks for making tea.
Hope it's drinkable.
Yeah, probably a bit hot still, but it works. Yeah, so like I said, usually I get whatever people ask and now there's noise. And we talked about coffee, but then you don't want to drink about paper cups? You want to tell about why you do this, or?
I just can't stand the waste that it produces.
Yeah.
I can't.
Fair enough. You shouldn't.
Yeah, and if I don't have enough time to just sit and enjoy my coffee there from a porcelain cup, then maybe I shouldn't have that cup of coffee at that moment.
Yeah, it makes me happy too, because I don't really drink coffee, so with tea at least I can join you. I was gonna break my only rule that I was gonna drink whatever my guests suggest, but now I can drink the tea.
Perfect. It works.
Sakari, so I know you here as a student. I'm here a student at this National Centre and you teach juggling. But before that I knew you from your many Instagram videos, but I suppose long before that even people know you. I think the first time you came out in the juggling world with the Juggle Doll video. So that was in 2006.
That was the year when it came out with the Peapod videos run by Maksim and Joonas, Maksim Komaro and Joonas Rissanen.
How did this come about?
Well, I was working on a video since the year 2000, I think, in Turku. And I once filmed it. I had the whole thing done. I had all of it done, and then it was all in my computer. It was all edited, and then I had to update the system, like the operating system. Yeah, I had to update that, and then as I did that, all of it disappeared. All of the all of the video. It was on the hard drive and just wiped it off. And so I did it again between the years 2002 and 2005. I kind of.
So when did you do the first batch?
It was about 2000 to 2002, and then I redid the whole thing. I found, like, there are a few bits that I found from tapes, but of course I was so poor that I didn't bother buying extra tapes. I just used the same tapes over and over.
Transferred it to your hard disk.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I did it kind of twice. I had notes. I had lots of notes, and I kind of remembered what I did. But
is it similar, the final project, or is it the same?
It's probably better. There are bits that are definitely exactly the same, kind of the same. Like the first part of it is more or less exactly the one that I did early on.
And why in 2000 did you decide to make your solo juggling DVD? I mean, this is not a common project for people to pick up, and now it's getting more easy if everybody has a camera. But then, how many DVD solos were there? There was maybe Gatto and
there was
Peapod, of course,
there was an increasing amount. There was an increasing amount, I should think. But I it was probably I took part on some of the Peapod videos, the club news things. I was
Radical Club News.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was part of those, and I guess that probably launched the idea to make it. And well, yeah. I don't know. I just wanted to make it and I played with the music a little bit, or not playing music, but making sounds and making music on a computer. But
okay, but so it was your own.
Yeah, it's all. And it was a fun hobby every day, just to film something and then watch through and try to put it together. And it was just fun to do it, fun to make.
And this also means, and it still is something that it surprised me all the time, that you have 60 minutes of material. I mean, then you had 60 minutes of club material to show that you could do in some way, but still now also on Instagram you put video after video with new trick after new trick after new trick. Where does this come from, and how do you store it, and how do you, what's the process of making and practicing and then in the end videoing such a...
I think probably the first thing that I kind of quite early on stopped thinking about it in sense of tricks, but combining as a technique, and I don't know, I don't know if that's a good way to describe it, but I thought of it as a technique, and then as a technique you should have as broad a knowledge of different things that one can, like different throws, different catches, and all different spins and different pathways of the object, and like body rolls, and like just thinking about them as kind of families, like balances would be one, body rolls one, wrist strappy things, or hitting clubs, or different spins in front, side, and body throws and things. And then I enjoyed a lot back then, and I still think it's the most fun part of juggling when I do it, is just to play with making patterns and making combinations of these different throws, and because there's infinite amount of combinations, so you never get quite bored. There's always something that you can tinker with and change, and even if it's the same throws, then you can just change the dynamics, and it's again
like the timing of the
whole different thing. So just putting things in one, like different layers to one, is always been quite amusing for me.
And then, so you write down the global technique, or you write down the different combinations of...
No, I don't write down anything.
Just sticks.
Some of it I remember, but some of it I don't. And then when I used to juggle a lot more than now, I definitely spend hours and then just going through different variations and alternatives of throws and catches, and sometimes I come across with something that I remember, yes, I've done this before, but I just had forgot. But it's always fun to refine it.
Because on top of discovering the different techniques and combinations, you also have to learn them at some point, or...
Yeah, that's also one part. I think it's the best way to learn, like if you want to learn back crosses, rather than just banging your head into the wall and just doing back crosses constantly. Usually in a similar tempo, you can, if you make like 80 different patterns with one back cross and possibly change the tempos of them, you'll end up learning the back cross, but at the same time you're learning many other things.
Do you think it's not necessarily faster, but just at the same time you get more out of it? Or
I think it's more fun for me. I can't
be
bothered of.
That's enough.
I don't really do long. Like I can't do a long time, like trying out one thing for a long time. So it's me just getting bored too quickly. So I do a few attempts on each thing, and then. But then, when, like I said, if you have 80 different variations with all of them having a back cross, you end up doing at least 80 repetitions on back cross as well. But 80 different.
That's a motivation to train yourself. Do you ever work on the base patterns then, or you skip them completely?
Like
like back cross, like doing a back cross cascade in a sense.
Yeah, of course, but you don't need to work on it that much then as a separate thing.
Okay.
And then within that you can play with the tempo again and the spins, and even with that just one throw.
The heights and the positions and
yeah.
Cool.
Makes it more fun.
I looked up online, and it said you started all this the juggling and circus. Your mother she ran a youth circus.
Yes, in a small village in eastern Finland. She just got really into circus without any previous background in circus, or in our family there was no circus. She's always been into arts and there was a touring traditional circus and still is in Finland, Circus Finlandia, which is
yes, I've heard of it.
Fantastic thing, a fantastic circus. That used to come to the small village where we lived, and Mom just got really excited about it and started a small club for acrobatics for us, and then she started organizing summer camps and bringing in professional circus artists.
Oh, that would help, I guess.
Yeah, and then after a while, I think we actually got like one day a week with somebody teaching us. And I started out with acrobatics and balancing, unicycling, rollerbola, and that kind of things. And then when I was about 13, I started juggling, and there was 4 of us, 4 boys in that village, and we all got quite excited about juggling, and we started juggling every day. Like, yeah, well, everybody who's watching this probably knows that it takes you quite intensively, so we juggled many hours a day.
If you have the space for it and the time for it, I'm sure I would have, except that I was not in a tiny village, so finding peers for this was harder, but...
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I do consider, and I see myself quite lucky on that aspect, that there was always space.
Are your friends from then also still juggling, or is it only you who went to pursue it?
One of us is my brother, Rauli. He's a professional juggler too, and one of them ended up being a school teacher, and one of the other one as well jugglers like me. So we all ended up kind of 3 out of 4.
Ah, well, yeah, that's a good start for a club like this. You have luxury. And then from there you went to you were in Kiev at some point?
No, I moved to Turku when I was 15. All members of our family kind of left to different directions, and I ended up in Turku into a high school that had arts emphasis on the teaching, and so I went to the high school there, and then at the same time in Turku there was a circus school already where Rauli was studying. So I was really lucky that they kind of took me as.
What year is this?
This is 96. They took me as.
The circus school is quite early there then. I think, for the Western circus schools.
Definitely, it was quite early. Though it's a pedagogical school, so you end up you
end up a circus teacher.
Yeah, graduate as a teacher. But yeah, they kind of took me as part of the school group, and I got to use their space more or less every time I wanted, and at some point I even had a key to the space, to the circus school, which now when I think about it, it's quite astonishing that they actually gave me a key.
For jugglers, this is the thing you need now, to be able to go
like 16-year-old boy got a key to this school, and well, I was there more or less day and night, and yeah, I do remember there was nights like even after bar. Well, yeah, I started going to bars when I was 16, which was fun as well because all the other kids were a little bit older. But like some nights after the bar, I could go in and juggle in the night, like from 2 to 4 or something. It was quite obsessive now that I think of it. And yeah, then I did the normal high school for about 2 years, and then I changed into an evening high school because it's a little bit more free and you don't need to be there present every day. So that gave me again a little bit more time to juggle during the daytime.
Yeah, so you can juggle good.
Yeah. So yeah, I stayed in Turku then, and then I stopped, finished the high school, and I tried my professional career for 2 years. Professional career indeed, didn't earn much. And then after that I applied for the actual circus school that and
also in Turku.
Yeah, the same school. I stayed in Turku for a long time. I applied for that school and I got in, and then I had space and teaching as well. I was a part of that school where we learned acrobatics and we learned all sorts of things.
And the reason I mentioned Kiev earlier is because I thought you were taught by Arkadi?
Yeah, Arkadi.
Or did he come to Kiev?
Yeah,
Turku?
Arkadi came to Turku actually, and
Okay.
Arkadi even came to the Eastern Finland to teach at the Circus Club. Circus Club, where I started. And so he came to Finland quite a few times. In Turku, I remember he was there at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
I first saw him in Brussels, where the Circus Club in Eastern Finland that my mom started. We did a small trip to Brussels to see the circus school there, and that's the first time I saw Arkadi teach there. And after that, I think my mom invited him to Finland.
Okay.
And he came to Turku to do a few workshops. And yeah.
So I find this a really fascinating person. I've never met. So Arkadi Poupon is a teacher. He is Ukrainian, right? Or is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ukrainian.
Because there's not so much you can find about him, but he was supposedly also teaching Victor Key and many of the Ukrainian jugglers, and especially so many people who name him as the most important inspiration or important influence on their juggling career, even though many people have only been there for a short time. So I was just wondering what he did that made it so special. Or
I think he was the first one to make me think about how the juggling looks, how it looks from the outside. Up until then, it was mostly just fun to be able to throw things in the air and spin around and just continue doing like whatever position you are. But he was the first one to actually think about like what is the position that you're standing in, and how does the body relate to the juggling, and how are the patterns, like what shapes do they make, and that kind of things. So it was a big influence. That was the first time that I kind of realized to look at it from outside.
And this is still a thing you find very important now, or is it something that was a phase that you went through? Or when you think of juggling, is it the visual art that you consider?
Absolutely. Isn't it?
Yeah, for me it would be, but it could be
people look at it.
There's also a rhythm aspect, or there's a personal aspect to it, of course.
Yeah, of course, and I suppose there's also a matter of taste and aesthetics that you want to go for, and that pleases the eye of the beholder.
So we just touched on the video thing, but besides making lots of videos or small things, you've also been in many performances. How long have you been performing artist then, overall?
I think I opened my first show 2000. I was gonna say 2000. I consider the first like more or less real production to have done 2004.
Yeah, so it's 14, 15 years of performing.
Yeah. Before that, I was part of several different shows, and there was one that combined juggling and poetry that we put up 2002, and yeah.
Because I just looked around and there was just so many different projects that seem to be on so many different areas, like so many different places that you've been able to include juggling in. There was one way where you were juggling with an orchestra. There's stuff with the Gandini. There's been very different projects. There's stuff with Echo Circus, but often from a, I suppose, contemporary circus kind of angle. But I was wondering then what is the role of juggling in contemporary circus compared to all the acrobatics that's around, and what have you been able to do as a performer? What do you think? It's a bit vague. I don't know exactly where it's going, but what do you do as a performer?
I guess when I make my own performances or direct, I don't probably think about the discipline even that much. I probably think more about the performance in a way. Of course, then I come from juggling background, and that's kind of the only thing that I think that I know this much about, or have some kind of an idea. So the performances, of course, end up including a lot of juggling, or have that as a main core element on most occasions, or on many occasions at least. But No, I feel I've been quite lucky to be able to have taken part in so many performances that I have, and now I try to do a little bit less.
Okay.
At the moment.
So
which
then
is
it's
also good.
just spending time at home, or exchange it for teaching, or?
Yeah. Teaching, thinking about, I don't know, just maybe doing a little bit less, and maybe when one is doing things, one should maybe spend a little bit more time and focus on fewer things. But I guess you only have this much time, and you choose how you split it up. And I think at the moment I'm trying to focus on, if I do a thing, I try to maybe use more time on it than. Understand?
Yes.
You know what I mean.
Yes.
Like, few things, but maybe spend more time with them.
And is this a thing you in general go to, like, or you think you're gonna come back as a full-time performer, or is this the performing chapter closing slowly?
No.
Completely?
No, I don't think so. No, it's not closing.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, I'm just curious in general, like how this works.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I don't believe in such planning ahead. Let's see what happens, and I just do the things that entertain me at the moment. And some of them hopefully carry on longer time, and some of them probably carry on shorter times. But let's see. I don't know about the performing. I'm interested in directing as well, and teaching.
Okay.
Teaching is fun, and doing workshops and.
Yeah, I'm very glad that you're up for teaching, because for me it's a very useful experience so far. So
Hopefully.
I know the things that since you perform so many shows, what makes what makes a good show? What is the goal for a performance? I mean, if the goal for juggling is to make nice visual, then for a whole show, is it what would it?
It probably depends on the project. I wouldn't have an overall. I guess. Well, in a way, the main level, to me, seems that the main level should be entertaining, but don't understand the entertaining word wrong. It doesn't mean always glitter, or it doesn't always mean that kind of entertaining.
Not necessarily pleasing, or
not. Not. I mean, entertaining, meaning that people enjoy watching and they find it interesting enough, but it doesn't like all that glitter or the wham bams that you mentioned from Circus doesn't necessarily entertain me at all. And then if it doesn't entertain me at all, I'm totally outside of the performance. If the first level of doesn't entertain, then you're kind of blocked out, and it doesn't really matter what's inside after that. It's really hard to get in and hard to get anything from that if the first level of entertainment doesn't invite you. So I guess the first level, to me, it should be entertaining, but then already we went into like what's entertaining for whom, and to that I would say entertaining for me as when I make it, I try to think, is this the kind of performance that I would enjoy watching, and try to be objective with it, and then I invite people to watch.
To be objective about if you would enjoy it, or objective about...
Objective about the ideas in the show, so that it's really hard to step back because you're so into it, and then stepping back and thinking like, what are people seeing this the same way that I'm seeing it?
Okay, so first if you'd enjoy it, but then if other people would...
If they would see it the same way that I do, to try to make sure that we could see it in the same way. I'm sure it's also complicated, but I think the first level should be entertaining, and it should be entertaining in a way that entertains me personally. That's how I would usually start, and then after that the content could vary depending on the project. But
yeah, so like you said, it is very complicated. But you'd imagine after so many years, you get a niche for what works and what doesn't, or does it stay forever into the unknown of how to make what to make? I find it hard myself as well for things that I see. But
well, yeah, I think it comes back to that. If you entertain yourself with the performance, then it's likely to entertain somebody else as well. And if it entertains, it allows other things to come up as well.
Fair enough.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. No, I definitely like to entertain myself, so I'm happy for this.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good to have an outside eye as well.
As for your juggling, is there still things left in the future to achieve? Are there goals, dreams, wishes?
Like 7 club back crosses.
Like 7 club back crosses, exactly. I don't know if you. Oh, they don't need to be this specific. I mean, I don't know if there's a.
Like technical goals, probably. I can't think of it in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to get in more to the ring juggling thing.
Okay. But otherwise you see yourself creating these kind of videos with families of tricks for the next 20 years, or?
I don't plan. Maybe there's a. I was planning on doing a new video. I started planning this straight after the Juggle Doll, and now it's been 12 years. But let's see if that ever came up. But that would probably be more into the performance arts side of juggling than just purely technical.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to. The teaching is surprisingly interesting, I find. There isn't that much, or I haven't seen that much theory. There is definitely theory. I'm sure people have written it and notations and all of those. But written ideas of how to best train juggling and
yeah, I agree.
How to best learn it, but or at least that kind of teaching that I would agree on.
So would you consider writing it, like now that you have the experience of teaching?
I would.
Yeah, I do that. I think it's in March. There's coming out the juggling manual from Vande.
Mm-hmm.
That will be a step into something, but I'm always up for this kind of.
Who made it?
I can't recall. I think it was there were different teachers involved from different circus schools, and I think they re-scratched it. And Philippe van der Weghe was involved at some point from Brussels, but then it was completely rewritten to match the format of some other guides by a dancer.
Yeah.
So some dancer reformatted it, and I forgot the whole story behind it. But it's going to come out in March, and then we'll have something about it.
Exciting.
Vande is the association for circus schools in Europe. So, but yeah, it's
curious to see.
So am I. I have 3 more questions. The first is an easy one. If people want to see what you do and are curious to know more about you, what's the best place that they should go and look and find things out on who you are, what you do?
My website.
Your website. I'll put the link in the description. sakarimännistö.fi. Perfect. Am I saying that right, by the way? Sakari Männistö?
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, and I think I also put a link to your Instagram account because I've seen a lot of things come through there, and then
it's a fun hobby to do that.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's a hobby that's easy to share with the world, so then we can take part in it. And then the second thing, is there anything that we didn't talk about yet that you feel like sharing with the juggling world, or?
It's a long silence now.
That is a deep thought, isn't it?
No, I can't.
No.
I can't
That's
really think about anything.
No,
that I could wisely say.
It doesn't need to be wisely. I mean, If you tell people to give you more ice cream at festivals, I don't know, it can be.
I should go to more festivals.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be welcome in some. I don't happen to be organizing some in the near future, but otherwise, festivals are fun. And then last thing, if there's an opportunity, maybe we go outside. If you want to show a quick trick so everybody knows you're the real deal, and then we close out this interview, if that's alright.
Okay.
Cool.
It was fun.
Thank you. Three balls, juggling by Sakari Männistö.
And this is it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can do, I'll do this one.
Oh yes, the laying down juggling, yeah. Oh, that's super cool.
I'm so clumsy nowadays.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure, indeed.
Thank you for watching this interview. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, a big thanks to the IJA for sponsoring this video, and see you at the next Juggle Jabber.